In the quiet town of River Heights, there was a mystery that needed to be solved. Nancydrew had a mind that never ignored a question, especially when something felt wrong.
I've studied the ledgers. They did not just inherit his estate. They intercepted his legacy.
Nancy's mind drifted toward the memory of the Payne mansion. It was a cold, imposing structure where the air always felt thin. Mr. Crowley was a man reduced to being a background detail.
So, you finally decided to grace me with your presence.
Nancy remembered the way they treated him. He was just a nuisance to be tolerated. Nancy turned her attention back to the timeline. He had been a man of modest means. She recalled the reports of his final days. He had a truth to tell. Richard Payne didn't lean in to hear his final wishes. It was a calculated abandonment, a final act of erasure. The Paynes had ensured he died alone, wanting to keep their secrets. She just knew there was a cover-up. She was going to speak her mind.
Father, the painful treatment of Mr. Crowley doesn't add up.
Her fist was clenched tight with anger.
There is a second will. I know it exists. They silenced him in that hospital room to make sure no one would ever know the truth.
Carson Drew had a memory of seeing Mr. Crowley with the lawyer, Henry Richards. And Mr. Crowley looked very nervous. Their interaction was brief and devoid of any social pleasantry. Crowley had looked like a man surrendering everything. This transaction had been buried under years of legal maneuvering and the town's gossip. Carson knew now that Nancy's obsession was not just a theory. A plan was beginning to form in Nancy's mind. The house was silent, but it was the silence of a starting line. Nancy knew she had to gather strength for the task ahead. She lay awake, tracing the patterns of moonlight shifting across the ceiling. She was thinking about the bank records and the ink-stained signatures. Details she had gathered began to fall into place. Did Mr. Crowley have a hiding place for valuables? She tried to visualize the floor plan of the Crowley estate. Nancy knew she had to search for the truth. It was a mystery to be solved. And the truth was closer than anyone imagined. Nancydrew kept her eyes on the newspaper, but her focus was elsewhere. She kept thinking about Mr. Crowley's hidden will. Carson Drew was distracted also. He seemed worried.
Don't forget your luncheon with Mr. Richards.
Nancy decided to go into town. She parked near a store she liked. Nancy sees the Payne sisters nearby. Very unpleasant people indeed.
I want the manager.
Nancy watched the scene unfold. Ada was always angry and seemed to enjoy it. Ada noticed Nancy and shifted her path, bumping into her.
Hey, watch where you're going! I'm well aware of my surroundings. Thank you.
They're always like that. But they are terrified.
The sales clerk said the Paynes think there's another will. The mystery of the will was no longer just a theory. She had to tell her father what she had found out. She arrived just in time. They made their way to where Richard sat. Nancy just had to tell them about the mystery will. At last, the truth began to unfold. Early in the morning, Nancy was given an envelope.
This needs to reach the courthouse in Masonville by noon.
A simple errand.
Nancy didn't know a storm was on the way. Now the storm was fast approaching. The storm was no longer a distant threat. She reached the courthouse just in time. The weather was getting much worse. pavement was covered in mud now. She found a place to pull over and park. Nancy meets a young woman named Allie. The inside of the home was nice and warm. Allie's sister Grace was in the kitchen. Grace told Nancy about an inheritance they were supposed to receive. Then Allie said where this inheritance was supposed to come from.
Josiah Crowley promised us a place in his will.
They had heard the will might be hidden in a clock. Of course, Nancy knew about the rumors of the missing will. Now the investigation would truly begin. The storm had finally passed. The mystery of the missing will was no longer a rumor to be ignored. It was a debt to be collected.
Tell me about your latest adventure.
It was just another typical weekend for me, Father.
Nancydrew went to the Paynes Lake cottage to find Mr. Crowley's clock. She was hoping the caretaker, Mr. Tucker, would allow her inside. But she found robbers at the cottage instead. The leader of the gang locked Nancy inside a dusty closet. He said he had tied up Jeff Tucker and left him in the garden shed. Mr. Tucker was able to get out of the shed and come and help Nancy. She left the cottage quickly to go to the police station. Mr. Tucker said he'd pass on that. Nancy knew she had to hurry. She ran inside and told the marshal what had happened. At the fork in the road, they split up. Nancy saw the Black Horse Inn and thought maybe they stopped here. She looked behind the inn and saw the moving van. The clock was in the van. She hid it quickly inside her car. The marshal and his men found the robbers passed out inside the inn.
Nancydrew helped us apprehend these dangerous men.
And I found the little book he hid inside the clock. It was just an ordinary day for me, Father.
The time had come for the reading of the will. Nancy felt nervous and kept looking at the clock.
It is almost 2 o'clock. People will soon hear the reading of the will.
Nancy was ready for justice. The Payne's hold on the estate was about to crumble.
You claim another will exists? It is a preposterous lie.
The room fell into a heavy silence as Carson began to read the will. Then he announced $75,000 each for the Horner sisters. Mrs. Payne stood up, her face flushed with anger.
This is a fraud!
Carson ignored her, his voice steady as he continued. Most of the wealth was left to the Horners. The Paynes were left with nothing but their pride.
You did this, didn't you? I simply helped the truth come to light.
The other relatives and friends will be getting a share also. Mr. Crowley helped a lot of people. With your help, Nancy. The Paynes are facing bankruptcy. They are moving out of their mansion this very day.
That is a steep fall for them.
They were too arrogant, always taking advantage of others.
Nancy went to visit the Horner sisters. Their home was now freshly painted, and many flowers were blooming. The Horner farm was now filled with joy.
Welcome to our farm!
They were no longer the worried young women she knew. They were thriving. Nancy enjoyed her visit to the farm, but it was getting late.
I should head back to River Heights now. It's getting late. We never thanked you properly. We want to give you a reward. I helped because I wanted to. I do not need a reward. But it is not fair. You saved our farm. If you really want to give me something, I would like that old Crowley clock.
That old thing? It barely keeps time.
It is yours, then. But it feels like a very poor trade for all you have done. I'll always prize this clock as a trophy of my first venture as a detective. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Cozy by Nature channel. Thanks.